Whew, all right, working on some stuff here. Got a little songwriting over here, trying to do a little social media jazz. A little something. Let's crack open that Coke. Get this party started. Different kind of Coke these days. Actually, I probably can't even say them. So that's a soda over there. Let's not pretend we didn't just see what brand that was. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about having an asshole boss and redefining life. That's what happened to me. I worked for this guy, just picture a Mr. Clean looking mother effer, total jerk, acted like military type, even though he wasn't. You know, he had the company handed to him, his pops. And the only reason I worked there so long was because I got hired by the son and got along with the son. But the guy was just a complete monster, man. Just went out of his way. Like, I never met somebody who goes out of their way to make sure that you're miserable, to make sure that you feel like you're being monitored all the time, to make sure that they're texting you in the middle of the night type of shit. Like, dude, I remember I smashed my head open. And, that was like the only time he was nice was when I smashed my head open in a truck going backwards like 80 miles an hour and broke all my ribs. And I didn't even know the ribs were all broken yet. And he's calling me when I'm in the hospital. I'm seeing double and trying to talk to me all nice and like, hey, you think you're going to be back to work tomorrow? Oh, gee, I don't know, bud. We'll have to see about that one. And these are just monsters that are just filling seats. That's all they care about is just filling their seat and meeting their freaking bottom line. Who gives a shit about their bottom line, dude? The only thing that should matter to you is the love in your household and that situation. All I care about is what happens with my son and making sure that he's okay in this walk of life, because this walk of life is so hard and it's getting harder. It's not getting better. It's getting better in some respects. Like, kids in school aren't as mean to other kids. At least that's what I'm told. I know when I was a kid, it was every dog for himself. Everybody was just trying to survive. And the disgusting political things that are going on, like, you know, people screaming at people, calling them a monster because you didn't vote this way. Like, dude, you're given a choice between a fucking bag of potatoes and like a fucking blowfish that, if it's not cooked properly, will fucking kill you. Those were your two fucking choices, man. So stop acting like, oh my God, you committed mass genocide because you voted a certain fucking way. Who cares, man? All these dudes do is they create these fear-driven situations and then stand on some platform and tell you they're going to fix that situation, which is probably a fucking situation they caused in the first place. It's just bullshit. So, but we are lucky to live in a country where we can control our own. And that's what's important, is controlling our own. This monster I worked for, man, he would just torture the living shit out of you. And you had to put food on the table, so you had to freaking deal with it. Day in, day out, grinding. I was making good money. That's another thing, obviously, to get you with the money. So the money's so good, so keep dealing with the bullshit and the horribleness and being treated like shit by somebody just because they were put in a position of power. Don't let that be your life. If anything you get from my message and you're younger, don't let that be your life, man, please. It's not freaking worth it. Do you. Go out there and create something. Go out there and starve to be an artist, because at least you're trying to do something for yourself. Don't let these fucking jerk-offs drive you around, because they're just miserable in life and they just want to pull you down, and they're suffering. Like, at some point I found out like my ex-boss had 4 ex-wives. I mean, what kind of fucking red flag does that tell you? It's just sickening. And then I made a mistake of going back to work immediately after getting let go by this guy, finally, just looking for a reason to fire me. Made up it's just dumb shit, like stuff that people did every day, and you would use it against you. Use that stupid little handbook only when it came in his favor. let that hate drive me. That's the thing. And I let for so long the hate that I had for him drive me. And he's winning if you let that happen. So don't let that be the case. Fuck them people that are trying to hold you down. Fuck them people that don't care about you at all and are just looking to fill whatever seat. Mine actually was a real seat, but maybe yours is like a different type of seat. But either way, don't let these fear-mongering people drive it, man. Get in your own vehicle, drive your own thing, drive your own life. Don't be held down by these complete monsters. You know, like little things like, when I remember, like, he would never be sympathetic to the fact of my son. Like, dude, you have no idea what real suffering is, bro. They would dump their Christmas shit out in front of everybody to see every year, which is like disgusting in itself. I don't know, hide it there or whatever. And I remember, this is when I really knew he hated me, man, because I found out that somebody who worked there way less time than me, and not the kind of person I thought that he would like, got a bigger Christmas bonus than me. And I found that out. And then, like, instead of making the situation right, he went and threatened that employee that, like, he wasn't going to pay him anymore. Like, that's how he was going to make the situation. Like, you're just going to threaten somebody else and not make it right with me. It's whatever, man. But don't let them type of people drive you. That's all I got to say about that sort of shit. Because I just start thinking to myself, like, what is it that I want in life? You know, I'm be 38. Shit, I'm 39 almost. Shit, man. Once you start getting out there, you start to sort of losing track of them years, and I think it might be on purpose. But if I could just do whatever I wanted, and there was like a high universal income that we could live on, being however that is, I would just immediately get on a plane with my son and just show him the whole world and show him every little thing that we could get into so that I can prepare him more for life. Because I'm dependent on the kindness of other people to be kind to my son and understanding. You're asking other people in this sickening world that's driven by social media and driven by influence and probably pushed hard by some other country that wants us to hate each other. You're letting social media drive you in that way. Don't do that, man. Get outside, breathe some fresh air, have a conversation with a neighbor, and learn to love again. I had to learn that. That's something that I had to see through even other friends of mine, other acquaintances. I do realize that that's something my son changed in me dramatically. I don't have that same anger and horrible, machoism that I had at one point before I had my son. And I do think having children is like a life-changing thing. I have a really good friend who, told me that they're not going to have children, and that upsets me because I think there's something in us that happens that changes us for the better when we have children. It was watching my son grow in this incubator for 5 months that it changed me, absolutely changed me, and it made me way more compassionate and way more caring. So, who knows? Maybe that's something I'll do. Maybe I'll, get more involved on that level. But it's hard because, I have a criminal record now. I'm telling you what, if DoorDash and this Uber stuff and all that would have been around when I was getting high, I never would have had a criminal record. Because that was all it was. You just didn't want to be fucking sick, man. Imagine if you had the flu every single fucking day. And the only way to fix this flu was to get these drugs, man. So when you're sitting there judging people constantly for stealing shit online and all that, like, just back the fuck up. You have no clue what real suffering is, man. Real suffering is horrible. But you notice people who go through real suffering, they always try to make their own problems better themselves. That's what you have to do. Instead of these, trifling women yelling at the senators on this outside, but then they go to the coffee shop and they have their macchiatos in the morning and discuss what they're going to do today and what they're going to get into. And then they go home and pop their Pinot Grigio and they sip it and they're like, man, we really freaking stuck it to him. What should we do tomorrow? You don't know what real suffering is, man. You have no clue. We have to make this world better. We have to pick each other up. We have to not even just pick each other up, but just hold a higher standard to being kind and caring. It's lost. It's lost in this social media world anymore. So much anger, so much hate. You go to a comment section that's probably driven by half of its bots in other countries trying to make us hate each other. Don't let it happen. Care about each other still. That's why, like, I have to respect somebody like Rogan, because the guy is now, Spotify gave him enough money to literally, he could turn off the lights when it's done and be done. But no, like every day he's searching for the answer. He's still looking for answers to help humanity. He's put in a good position that he can do something, and he's doing it. Like, could you really say that you would be doing a new interview with a doctor or something every day? I don't think you could. I think you'd be like, oh, man, whatever you like to do, I'm out back riding freaking my quads all day and just relaxing, you know? So I do admire that. I think that's something to be said for when you're still looking to help and still trying to talk and get messages out. Like all the illegals. I didn't know all these illegals were driving trucks. Well, what do you know? Like 2 days later after that conversation, 17,000 licenses get pulled in California. See, these conversations are having legitimate impacts. I didn't know about the thing with the Katie Stackhoff was talking about, like how these drugs got discovered and how that was going to be cut off in this bill. I didn't know that. That seems like an incredible program that we should keep. But there's just so much waste, and then they sweep away the good things because they cause so many problems. You waste billions of dollars that we give you every single day by working so freaking hard. And it's just not enough. And then you want to threaten us to replace our jobs with machines and then tell us that, there's a shortage in the industry, right? There's a shortage in truck driving. But you're also threatening to take the job every day with these automated machines. So why would somebody want to get into that field? I wouldn't, if I was restarting over right now, I would never tell anybody to go get their CDL. That would be silly. I encourage my son to use his phone all the time because it's the way of the future. I mean, like China right now, they literally do all their paying and everything through the cell phone. So I do encourage him to use social media. It becomes a problem at times and we have to set limits on these things. But I want him to be good with technology because technology is that important. So I encourage it. But what I am finding is I'm just tired of horrible, miserable men that are in these positions of power driving my car. You know what I mean? Driving my car, as I would say, driving me through life, putting more food on the table, giving him a new Bentley to drive, giving him a new freaking Mercedes every year. Why I can't afford my copay, $60 copay on my insurance to go to this visit. So forget that visit. We don't need it, right? Who knows? Maybe I did, but I can't afford it. So I ain't going. So when I think about life and if I could just do whatever, man, it would be get on a plane tomorrow and just show my kid the world, show him every single thing, because that's what he needs. I've had so many issues already. My son went to a new school. He was doing so good in the first few years, but he's at a new school now who's totally dropping the ball. And we're having issues not following his IEP, It's a real problem. Real problem. So it's up to me to make sure that he's prepared for life. He has to go to school. Those are the rules. He go to school. But every other thing, every other single moment, I take care of. And I just want him to have a good experience in life. And hopefully I'm going to try to make some sort of dent on something because I just want people to be kinder in this life, more caring, more understanding, more willing to give people a chance. And people stop taking advantages of good opportunities. And that's another, people take too much advantage of these things. Hey man, at least when I used to be gripping shit to get high, I had some decorum about myself when I would steal shit, man. I actually tried to hide that shit. Now they just walk in stores and just rip out whole shelves and don't even care because they know the record's so bad. No one's going to give them another shot at a different job, so they just don't care no more. And that's what happens. And then they end up in the cell block. And I remember being on the cell block and just being like, man, out of like 100 guys on this cell block, there's like 5 solid, good men that have made mistakes and are in the grips of addiction, and maybe if something like Uber or DoorDash had been around, probably aren't in the situation that they're in. And then the system holds them down by repeatedly drug testing them and kicking them back into jail and taking that good man and beating him down until he's no longer in the 5%. He's in the 95 of evil men that are fighting and killing each other in a world that has completely different rules than our world. It is a blessing to be out here in society. If you've never been in a prison cell, actually, well, I won't say that. I haven't been in a prison cell. I just went to jail. I was never in prison. So I've heard enough stories about prison that I did not want to go there. Even though it can be better than jail in some aspects. Because I was next to a guy who killed somebody with an electrical cord in a hotel room. And his plan was to go upstate and buy dope and off himself that way. And he would talk about doing this every day. And he would play cards with this guy who was like the most homicidal guy I've ever seen, just wild. He had this intense look in his eyes all the time. And he would get my cellie was good at playing pinochle. And when he would make a mistake, I mean, the whole block heard it. And he would just relentlessly tear into him like you wouldn't believe. Oh, man. And then I also, I'll give you an example of a good guy who made a huge mistake. I worked with, I'm sorry, I didn't work with him. I did business with him. When I would get high, I would go to this pawn shop. So I knew this pawn shop owner real good, but the police were like constantly bothering him, harassing him. So what did he do? Huge mistake. He said there was free copper, scrap metal, different things of this sort at this officer's back door at 2 a.m. And a lot of people started showing up at this guy's house for a lot of different things. And they found out about it. He got in a lot of trouble. And normally a guy like that would be celebrated in jail. But there was a huge mistake. He was not built for that life. And people saw that and they took advantage and they stole his stuff and they made him fear for his life to the point where he came to me and said, "Can you just hold on to my stuff?" And I did, because it was wrong. It was really wrong what they were doing. I think the guy had like 9 months in, and that time would have counted towards serving his sentence. And he opted out and took a bail and got out. And I think he had to start all over. And I think he eventually got like got like 3 years. I don't know what happened to him after that. I got the sense that he was never going to go to prison. Like, he would take some way out to avoid that. So that was just like one example of a guy who just did something stupid. But that doesn't necessarily, that's a different sort of situation. It's not really like with the drug related aspect of it that like I was going through. But like I just said, like, imagine having the flu every single day, and there was only one way to fix that flu. So you would do whatever you had to within reason of your own reason, because I was never going to get into a physical thing with somebody. I was never going to hurt somebody in light of my addiction, physically hurt somebody in light of my own addiction problems. But certain people will. And that's how you can sort of separate the difference in the two sometimes. But that's not who I wanted to be. That's not who I was, but it was in the moment. It's who I had to be, because I didn't want to be sick. Imagine. You just don't want to be sick, so you're going to do what it takes to not have the flu anymore. And that's what these drugs do. So nowadays, I am in favor of getting rid of at least the hardcore stuff that's dropping us left and right, turning a prom queen into a dope fiend. It's just no good. So anything I can do to help somebody now, that's what I'll do. I don't know what that path is yet. I don't know what it's going to be, but it starts here. It starts right here, just trying to make a small difference in the little time I have that when my son is passed out sleeping. That's basically what it is right now. My son's passed out sleeping, and I'm actually not going out to make deliveries or nothing right now because it's my wife's payday. So payday, I don't have to go out and make no deliveries. But I will be back to doing that. and I'll be back to trying to somehow make this. I got tons of stories, all kinds of crazy stuff. I got some of the best schemes and situations we'll get into, different things like that. If somebody digs any of this, ask me something. I'd love to interact with somebody on a level like that. Let me know anything I can help in any way. Let's talk to me. Let's talk it out. Let's try to make a difference in that sort of way. Because I just think that would be cool. And I just don't care no more. I don't really care about how people view me anymore. I don't care anymore really what people generally think of me. Like I made mistakes and I've tried to right them the best I can. And I think I've been put in a path that was to right that on purpose. I think something bigger out there put my son in my life to change me. When I found that guy down on the ground the other day, something put me in that path to find that man and help that man. So I don't know. I don't know what drives this. Is it a simulation? I don't know. And those are the beautiful questions that you hear on Rogan that I do want to get. We want to work on. We want to understand things better. But my focus is going to be on trying to somehow make a positive impact on people so they're kinder and more caring and more understanding the people that have disabilities, because I didn't know I'd be in this situation. I remember when I was young, a girl around the corner from me, her child had autism, and I just remember being like, man, that sucks, dude. I couldn't imagine, what that would be like. That must be a nightmare. Anyway, let's go back to stocking my book bag full of beers here and go down to the train tracks and go tie one on with the boys. Well, that's what we did. Little did I know, all these years later, I'd be staring at the exact same path. But it saved me. So I can't be down about it. I can't be all gloom about it. I have to be positive about it because I have to drive forward and try to make a positive impact for my son so that his path and his walk in life is a little smoother. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to sit here until we figure this thing out. Maybe I do it alone for a while. Maybe I get some help. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I'm going to try. I'm at least going to try to make a difference one way or another. But it ain't going to be sitting behind a damn steering wheel no more, just taking orders from some jerk who is going to get his new Mercedes at the end of the year. And that's what he's excited about. Because I'm not about that. I don't care about you making your Uber mortgage payment and your car payment and acquiring more junk that we don't need. I care about feelings. I care about making an impact on people who've lost that spark, who don't think they have it no more, or don't think they're worth it no more. You are, man, and you can be. By doing the work, you do have to do some work. You can't. It's not just going to be given to you. No one's just going to write in and give it to you. But if you do the work and you really put forth that effort, things will return in the positive light and you can find your way again. You can find your way again. So let's do that. Let's figure out how we can just bring somebody's spark back. Let's start them up again. Let's hook them to some jumper cables and let's pop this sucker. And that's what we're going to do. One day at a time. We're going to figure this thing out. I don't care if I got to sit behind this mic and just bullshit. I talked to somebody about telling my life story. I think it'd be interesting. There's a lot of stuff in there that is pretty wild. That could be fun. Or we're going to sit here and try to write some music. See if we can sing this son of a bitch out of us. I don't know. One day at a time, we're going to sit here and we're going to figure this thing out. That's all I got right now.